I now invite the Prime Minister to deliver the keynote address.
My cabinet colleague, Sri Arun Jaitley ji, Sri Vineet Jain, friends from India and abroad. I am happy to be here today to address this Global Business Summit. This is a good platform for bringing together economists and industry leaders. I compliment the Economic Times for organizing this event. Over the next 2 days, you will debate growth and inflation, manufacturing and infrastructure, missed chances and unlimited possibilities. You will see India as a country of opportunities, unmatched across the world. I assure you that your inputs shall receive my government's highest attention. Friends, Makar Sankranti was celebrated on 14th January. It is an important festival. It is the beginning of Uttarayana, which is considered to be a Punya Kal. The Lodi festival also coincides with it. On this day, the sun begins its journey north. This marks the transition from winter to spring. The new age India has also begun its transition from winter of subdued achievements lasting 3 to 4 years to a new spring that beckons. The country had fallen into deep despair with 2 back-to-back years of below 4% growth and governance at rock bottom. A series of scams from telecom to coal had paralyzed the economy. We deviated from the dream of India as a land of opportunity. No longer we can afford the flight of capital and labor for back of opportunities. We have to repair the damage that has happened. Restoring growth momentum will be an uphill task. It will take hard work, sustained commitment, and strong administrative action. But we can overcome the mood of despair, and we must. It is in this context what all the steps we have taken must be seen. Friends, destiny has favored me to serve this great nation. Mahatma Gandhi said that we should not rest until we wipe every tear from every eye. Elimination of poverty is fundamental to me. This is at the core of my understanding of cohesive growth. To translate this vision into the reality, of a new age India, we must be clear about our economic goals and objectives. The government must nurture an ecosystem where the economy is primed for growth, and growth promotes all-round development, where development is employment generating and employment is enabled, where skills are synced with production and production is benchmark to quality, meets global standards, and meeting global standards drive prosperity. Most importantly, this prosperity is for the welfare of all. That is my concept of economic good governance and all-round development. It is up to us to create conditions for the people of India to blossom and create this new age India. Friends, let me outline what we are doing to usher in this new spring. My government is moving fast in designing policies and laws to promote growth. This is where I seek everybody's cooperation. First, we are committed to achieving the fiscal deficit target announced in the budget. We have worked systematically in this direction. Many of you practice Kaizen in your companies. Reducing wastage means cutting excess and preventing misuse. This requires self-discipline. That is why we have the Expenditure Management Commission to suggest cuts in wasteful expenditure. This way, we will make the rupee more productive and deliver maximum bang for the buck. Second, the petroleum sector has been major reforms. Diesel prices have been deregulated. This has opened up space for private players to enter into the petroleum retail. Gas prices have been linked to international prices. This will bring a new wave of investment. It will increase supplies. It will resolve problems in the key power sector. Today, India's cooking gas subsidy is the world's largest cash transfer program. Over 80 million households receive subsidy directly as cash in their bank accounts. This is 1/3 of all households in this country. This will completely eliminate leakages. Building on this, we plan to introduce direct cash transfer in other benefit schemes. Third, inflation has been controlled through firm measures. While falling oil prices help, even non-oil inflation is at a very low level. Food inflation has come down from 15% a year ago to 3.1% last month. This set the stage for RBI to reduce interest rates and push growth in a stable manner. Fourth, the consensus we arrived in states for amending the Constitution to implement GST is a major breakthrough. और हमारे अरुण जी तो कहते हैं कि शायद आजादी के बाद इतना बड़ा रिफॉर्म का कोई कदम इसके पहले नहीं उठाया गया है. GST has been pending for over a decade. This alone has the potential to make India competitive and attractive for investment. Fifth, the poor have been included in the financial system. In a short span of 4 months, over 100 million new bank accounts have been opened under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. For a country of our size, this was an immense challenge. But with will, determination, and the full support of every banker, we are today a nearly 100% banked country. Soon, all accounts will be linked with Aadhaar. Banking habits will become common across the country. This now opens immense possibilities for the future. People's saving will rise. They will invest in new financial instruments. 1.2 billion people can hope for pensions and insurance. As the nation progresses, these bank accounts will drive demand and growth. We have always debated about social unity, national unity, and so on. But we have never debated about financial unity, about bringing everyone into the financial system. This is one cause which both capitalists and socialists agree on. I don't think there will be a dispute between those. What, my friends, can be a bigger reform? Sixth, the energy sector has been reformed. Coal blocks are now allocated transparently through auction. Mining laws have been changed to facilitate efficient mining. Similar reforms are on the way in the power sector. We have revived long-pending projects in Nepal and Bhutan with the cooperation of their governments. Steps are being taken to deliver 24/7 power for all using every possible source, including renewable energy. Seventh, India is being made an attractive destination for investment. FDI caps have been raised to insurance and real estate. FDI and private investment are being promoted in defense and railways. The Land Acquisition Act has been amended to smoothen the process and speed up matters. This will give a thrust to infrastructure and manufacturing while protecting the compensation to farmers. Eighth, infrastructure is being given a boost. Greater investment is planned in railways and roads. New approaches and instruments are being put in place to unlock their potential. Ninth, transparency and efficiency in governance and institutional reforms are essential elements for rapid growth. These, along with a positive regulatory framework, tax stability, and ease of doing business, are being pushed ahead at top speed. For instance, recently assured public sector banks, they will have total autonomy in taking business decisions without any interference from government on loans and their operations. और मैंने जब बैंक की मीटिंग में कहा, मैं आपको कहता हूं उनके लिए सरप्राइज था। मैं उनसे कहा, आपको इस काम में कभी पीएमओ से फोन नहीं आएगा, और मैं मानता हूं इससे बड़ा कोई कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल नहीं हो सकता है। और यही है जो ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाती है। वी नीड टू यूज टेक्नोलॉजी टू डिलीवर good governance, whether it is a simple one like biometric based attendance, which has improved office attendance and work culture, or a cutting edge one like space technology in mapping and planning. I intend to launch a massive national program for PDS computerization. The entire PDS supply chain, public distribution system, from the FCI godown to the ration shop and consumer will be computerized. Technology will drive welfare and efficient food delivery. A major institutional reform is the move away from merely planning to transforming India. The setting up of the National Institution for Transforming India, Niti Aayog, is a step in this direction. This will take the country forward on the path of cooperative federalism. And when I say cooperative federalism, with a competitive zeal, country requires cooperative, competitive federalism. There must be competition between states. There must be competition between states and center. The Niti Aayog is our mantra for creating trust and partnership between the center and states. This list can be endless. I can go on for days, but I do not think we have the time. However, I have given you a sense of the immense activity we are engaged in. We have done a lot so far, and more will be done in future. Friends, reforms are not an end itself. Reforms must have a concrete objective. The objective must be to improve the welfare of the people. Approaches may be many, but the goal is one. Reforms may not be apparent to one and all at first sight, but small acts can drive reforms. What appears minor can actually be vital and fundamental. Further, there is no contradiction between doing big ticket items and doing small things. One approach is to have new policies, programs, large projects, and path-breaking changes. Another approach is to focus on the small things that matter. Create a people's movement and generate mass momentum, which then drives development. We need to follow both paths. Let me explain this a bit. Generating 20,000 megawatt of power attracts a lot of attention. That is important. अगर मैं कल घोषणा करता हूं कि हम 20,000 मेगावाट बिजली टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया के हेडलाइन पे आ जाएगा, शायद। At the same time, 20,000 megawatt of power can be saved through a people's movement for energy efficiency. The end result is similar. The second is more difficult, but is as important as the first. In the same way, improving 1,000 primary schools is as important as opening a new university. The new aims we are setting up will improve public health in the same way as our promise of health assurance. To me, health assurance is not a scheme. It is about ensuring that every rupee spent on health is well spent, that every citizen has access to proper health care. Similarly, when we do Swachh Bharat, it has multiple impacts. It is not just a fad or a slogan. It changes mindset. It changes our lifestyle. Swachhta becomes a habit. Waste management generates economic activity. It can create lakhs of Swachhta entrepreneurs. The nation gets identified with cleanliness. And of course, it has a huge impact on health. After all, diarrhea and other diseases cannot be defeated without Swachhta. The mantra of independence was Satyagraha. महात्मा गांधी ने पूरी आजादी का एक केंद्र बिंदु शब्द रहा था सत्याग्रह. And the warriors were Satyagrahi. The mantra New Age India must be Swachhagraha. Like Satyagraha, Swachhagraha. And the warriors will be Swachhagrahi. Like Satyagrahi, Swachhagrahi. Take the case of tourism. It is an untapped economic activity. But tapping it requires a Swachh Bharat. It needs improvement in infrastructure and telecom connectivity. It requires better education and skill development. Therefore, a simple goal can generate reforms in multiple sectors. People must understand the Clean Ganga program. Clean Ganga program as an economic activity. The Gangetic plains account for 40% of our population. They have over 100 towns and thousands of villages. Improving Ganga will develop new infrastructure. It will promote tourism. It will create a modern economy helping millions of people. In addition, it preserves the environment. Railway is another example. There are thousands of railway stations in the country where not more than 1 or 2 trains stop in a day. These facilities created at a cost remains unused for most of the day. हमारे देश की जो रेलवे स्टेशन है छोटे छोटे गांव के, वहां ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क भी है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी भी है। उससे 2 किलोमीटर दूर गांव में बिजली नहीं है। क्या हम इस रेलवे स्टेशन को, जो कि 1 या 2 ट्रेन आती है, वहीं पर स्किल डेवलपमेंट के सेंटर खड़े करें, उस बिजली का उपयोग करें, ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क का उपयोग करें, और उसी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का मल्टीपल यूटिलिटी हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता? स्मॉल इज इंडीड ब्यूटीफुल। और मैं जब छोटा था तब एक किताब पढ़ता था, स्मॉल इज ब्यूटीफुल। In agriculture too, our main goal is to raise productivity. This will require using technology, increasing soil fertility, producing more crop per drop, more crop per drop. जब तक हम पानी के महात्म्य को नहीं समझेंगे, मैं समझता हूं हम पूरे हमारे एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर की ओर सफलतापूर्वक आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते हैं। एंड ब्रिंगिंग द लेटेस्ट फ्रॉम लैब टू लैंड। आज एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर के वैज्ञानिकों को बहुत रिसर्च किया है, लेकिन सब लैब में पड़ा है। जब तक हम फ्रॉम लैब टू लैंड ये प्रोसेस पूरी नहीं करते, फार्मर्स विल नॉट बी द बेनिफिशियरी। Cost of cultivation will go down as efficiency rises. This will make agriculture viable. On the output side, the entire value chain in agriculture will be addressed through better storage, transport, and food processing linkages. We will link farmers to global markets. We will give the world the taste of India. Friends, I have often called for minimum government, maximum governance. This is not a slogan. This is an important principle to transform India. और हम सब जानते हैं, सरकारी तंत्र की 2 मूलभूत समस्या है। एक जटिलता और दूसरी शिथिलता। Government systems suffer from 2 weaknesses. They are complex and they are slow, very, very slow. In life, people go on a Char Dham Yatra to get moksha. In government, a file has to go to 36 Dham. And yet not get moksha. We need to change this. Our systems need to be made sharp, effective, fast, and flexible. This requires simplification of processes and having trust in citizens. This needs a policy-driven state. What is maximum governance? Minimum government. It means government has no business to be in business. There are many parts of the economy where the private sector will do better and deliver better. In 20 years of liberalization, we have not changed a command and control mindset. We think it is okay for government to meddle in the working of farms. This must change, but this is not a call for anarchy. First, we need to focus government upon the things that are required of the state. Second, we need to achieve competence in government so that the state delivers on the things it set out to do. Why do we need the state? There are 5 main components. The first is a public goods such as defense, police, judiciary, etc. The second is externalities which hurt others such as pollution. For this, we need a regulatory system. The third is market power, where monopolies needs controls. The fourth is information gaps, where you need to someone to ensure that medicines are genuine, and so on. Last, we need a well-designed welfare and subsidy mechanism to ensure that the bottom of society is protected from deprivation. This specially includes education and healthcare. These are 5 places where we require government. In the 5 areas where we need government, we require competent, efficient, and non-corrupt arms of government. We in government must constantly ask the question, how much money I'm spending and what outcomes am I getting in return? For this, government agencies have to be improved to become competent. This requires rewriting some laws. Laws are the DNA of government. They must evolve with time. India is a $2 trillion economy today. Can we not dream of an India with a $20 trillion economy? Should we not create the environment for this to happen? We are preparing the ground for it. This is hard work, I know very well. This is hard work. Quick and easy reforms will not be enough for creating a fast-growing economy. That is our challenge, and that is what we aim to do. Digital India and Skill India are attempts in this direction. Digital India will reform government systems, eliminate waste, increase access, and empower citizens. It will drive the next wave of growth, which will be knowledge-driven. Broadband in every village with a wide range of online services will transform India in a manner we cannot foresee. Skill India will harness the demographic dividend which everyone talks of. Friends, improvement in governance is a continuous process. We are making changes wherever acts, rules, and procedures are not in tune with needs. We are cutting down on multiple creases that jog investment. Our complex tax system is crying for reform, which we have initiated. I believe in speed. I will push through change at a fast pace. You will appreciate this in times to come. At the same time, we need to take care of the poor, deprived, and left behind sections of society. I believe that subsidies are needed for them. I repeat, subsidies are needed for poor. What we need is a well-targeted system of subsidy delivery. We need to cut subsidy leakages, not subsidies themselves. Wastage, as I said earlier, must be removed in subsidies. The target group should be clearly identified and the subsidies should be well delivered. The ultimate object of subsidies should be to empower the poor, to break the cycle of poverty and become foot soldiers in our war on poverty. मैं उस रास्ते पर जाना चाहता हूं जहां गरीब स्वयं भी गरीबी के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए सज्ज हो, उसको हम वो शस्त्र दें, वो अवसर दें, ताकि वो भी गरीबी के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने वाला हमारा एक मजबूत सोल्जर बन जाए, और तभी हम गरीबी से मुक्ति पाएंगे. At this point, would also say that development has to result in jobs. बाकी सब बातें हैं. Reform, economic growth, progress, all are empty words if they do not translate into jobs. What we need is not just more production, but mass production and production by masses. Friends, economic development cannot take a nation forward on its own. Development has many dimensions. While on one hand, we need higher incomes, we also need a society which is cohesive, which balance the stress and strain of a modern economy. History is witness to the rise and fall of nations. Even now, many countries have become rich in an economic sense, but are poor in a social sense. Their family systems, value systems, social networks, and other elements which hold a society together have broken. We should not go down that path. We need a society and economy which complement each other. That is the only way for a nation to go forward. Further, development seems to have become the agenda only of government. By and large लोगों को लगता है कि ये विकास तो सरकारी काम है, ये सरकार का एजेंडा है. इस माइंडसेट को हमें बदलना पड़ेगा. It is seen a scheme that should not be the case. Development should be everyone's agenda. It should be a people's movement. Friends, like the rest of the world, we are concerned about two dangers: terrorism and climate change. Together, we will find a way to face this. Today, everyone is looking towards Asia for inspiration and growth. And within Asia, India is important, not just for its size, but for its democracy and its values. India's core philosophy is Sarva Mangalya Mangalyam and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. This is a call for global welfare, global cooperation, and balanced living. India can be a role model of a growth and cohesiveness for the rest of the world. For this, we need a workforce and economy which meet global needs and expectations. We need to quickly improve social indicators. India should no longer be bracketed with the least developed. We can do this. Swami Vivekananda had said, "Arise, awake, do not stop until the goal has been attained." This should inspire us all to achieve the vision of a new age India. Together, we can. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.